So, welcome to the webinar. My name is Deborah Gallant. I'm with an organization called Entrepreneurs Forever. We offer monthly peer support groups. And this is a program that I put on once a month when I try to find a topic that I know our entrepreneurs need to know a little bit more about. This is a repeat performance. We've done this networking one before, but everyone needs to be reminded what are the best practices with networking and to network with each other. So that's what we're here for today. So I'm going to talk just a little bit about the organization. I want to tell you about some upcoming programs. Then we're going to do the presentation, and we're going to talk for a moment or two about how AI might be able to help you with networking because it always comes up in conversation. It's like, oh, why can't I use AI for this? Well, maybe you can, but within limits. And then we'll have a sharing and open discussion, and we'll record this up to the open discussion part. So we met our participants, Anthony and Sandra, and hopefully we'll have a few more join us. But I wonder if I can ask you guys to start with, what's your biggest concern or struggle or challenge when you think about networking?
Okay, I'll go first. First of all, mine is I'm shy. Just I'm shy in front of people. Um, and secondly is that my business is more of a social disruptor type business. And so when I talk about some of the challenges that women face, it's one thing to know that they exist, but it's another thing to talk about it. And people are kind of, I don't know how, I haven't learned how to yet bring it so that it wouldn't be such a shock.
Is
And,
it
and
it's
I
uncomfortable for them to talk about it?
exactly, and now, Deborah, with the changes over the past since January, with the executive order, now I'll be moving some of those words out of my marketing piece in terms of disruptor, barriers, systemic. So now I'm lost with how to talk about what it is that I do because now I'm censored with the language. So
Yeah, that is challenging.
mhm.
Anthony, what do you find challenging about networking?
Um, I think honestly, it's the next step, right? So it's ultimately, you've said hi, you've said hello, you've gotten the basic information across. Now is really that development step. You know, does that stop there, right? Or are you in that, matching mode, that vibe to say, okay, let's continue? That's really the biggest concern for me is because it's always been, well, I wouldn't say always, but you get the one and dones type of scenario, and then nothing ever pans out afterwards. So the whole thing and the purpose for me and the focus is that people have the alignment of who they want to speak to, understanding the backgrounds that are going to match with you to say, okay, let's at least go take it a step further and maybe have a coffee or something and seeing how we can build for success together. Other than just saying, hey, nice to meet you on the webinar. Hopefully I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, no, I think that building that relationship is challenging, particularly because it isn't always evident on a first conversation what it is you have in common or where the overlap is. When I think about networking, sometimes I think about, does anybody remember the movie Groundhog Day? Where that
Yeah,
that insurance salesman Ned is shaking his hand and trying to sell him insurance every day. It's like you don't want to feel slimy like that. You want to feel
right.
like you're building a relationship and it's not really just transactional. So, Christy, welcome. We're a small group today. Do you want to introduce yourself and tell us your business and any challenges around networking for you?
Sure. I'm so sorry that I was running a little behind. I'm Christy Edgar. I have my business is Cultivated Health. I am a women's health coach. Um, Essentially, I okay. How do I make this as short as possible? I teach women about psycholiteracy. So, statistically, women have been taught that our approach to health is a linear one, um, but that's not how our bodies operate. We have a cycle that dictates which hormones, our mood, our metabolism, like all of these things are tied into dominant hormones. So, I teach women psycholiteracy, but I also teach them how to change their lifestyle in order to balance their hormones and get better control of their health.
You're right. That's a mouthful. We'll talk a little bit about how hard it is to get people's attention when you have a complicated subject to talk about. So that's great.
And when you're constantly in rooms that are filled with men, and the minute that you say hormones or cycle or period, they're like, no offense, Anthony, but that's what happens, you know, and I have to be the one who's like, yep, that's what I'm talking about today. Like, and I love networking, actually. It is, like, I prefer it. I keep saying this over and over again in my own entrepreneur group. I say it in everything that I hate social media. I hate doing all of that. It feels so fake and bleh to me. But put me in a room with people and I'm all about it. And at any capacity. It doesn't have to be an official networking event, but like I like connecting with people.
Well, you must be on that Myers-Briggs scale, an E, right? You get your energy externally, right?
That is correct. Yes, I am.
All right. I am dropping in the chat the handout that goes along with this. You don't have to have it to get a lot out of this, but if you want to print it out or have it as an accompanying document, you can. Bonnie, would you like to introduce yourself? You showed up just in time.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Davis. I'm owner of Baker Addiction. I work to create uniquely delicious cookies, cupcakes, and other baked greats.
What's your challenge around networking?
Networking is putting myself out there and being forward facing. I kind of want to hang to the edges and not be bold and brave.
It's you should be, and your
I
character
know.
is delicious. Zevi, I don't know
Thank
if
you.
you're in a place that you can unmute and tell us who you are and what your challenge around networking is.
Hi, my name is Zevi. I run a small brand studio. Do branding, web design, other supporting marketing elements. My challenge with networking is finding a way to see the return on investment. I've gone to a fair share of them, and I know that they could be uncomfortable, and I've found strategies to kind of participate in them and not have a terrible time. However, I haven't really got any business from it, and I'm not sure. I'm looking for ideas on how to optimize that.
That's great. Well, and I'm not sure that networking always has a straightforward return on investment. So it's an excellent point to bring up. Just to remind you, in case you weren't aware, this is a program presented by Entrepreneurs Forever, and our mission is to help small business owners grow to sustain their families and their communities. I now go and present this before I do the whole presentation to tell you about our upcoming events, because I know if I don't do it now, I completely forget to do it. So next month is how to build a business someone would want to buy. And I have in October one on keeping your data safe with one of our members, James Stokes. And yes, you might think, what kind of data do I have? You all have data. You just don't know you have data. And you may not have paid attention to keeping it safe, but you really need to. And we're also adding a program in September that's not on the regular schedule. It's just been added, a critical conversation about how that one big, beautiful bill has changed healthcare accessibility for small business owners. The dates are changed, the exchange has changed, the copays and subsidies have changed. It's way over my pay grade, which is why I found an expert who's going to come in and talk to us. So just to let you know, those two programs are coming up. So today we're talking about networking that works. And here's what I ask people to think about, even you folks who like to stay on the fringes. Bonnie and Sandra says she's shy. Connections are so important because it's really easy to stick to what you know and who you know. But if that's all you do, you prevent your business from growing. And that's why it's so important. Now, everyone needs to have and build their professional network. And I wish I could tell you it was easy as having a really great LinkedIn profile. And the LinkedIn gurus will tell you that's what it is. But I can promise you that's only one of the elements of what you have. But you should have LinkedIn. So, what is networking anyway? It's all about interacting in informal ways to get assistance or support. And here's the thing that I insist you think about just for a moment. Put your business aside and think about if you had a high school age child who needed to interview somebody who was born and raised in another country. Okay, so China or Russia or Guatemala or anywhere. And you knew someone whose mother was raised in China who you worked with 3 or 4 years ago. Would you feel comfortable picking the phone up and calling them or texting them and getting in touch and saying, can my daughter interview your mother? Yes? I think that's a pretty easy ask. Zevi, could you do that? Could you make that call?
I probably would, but I can see how most people wouldn't.
Really? I don't
Maybe.
think that's a big ask.
No, okay, all right.
I don't know. What do you
Well,
guys think? Sandra?
If I hadn't spoken to them in a couple of years, I wouldn't, because then I would seem like I would be calling them because I needed something. If it was someone that I had been in contact with, then it would be a conversation. But if I hadn't spoken to them in a couple of years, I would not call them.
Anyone else want to react? Anthony, would you make that call?
Yeah, I probably would. I'm doing it right now as we speak. Just kind of, just following a caption and just saying, hey, use on my head, use on my mind. Just wanted to recapture, our conversation. Hopefully we can get some time in to just kind of catch up, and see where we go from there. I mean, it's really about the approach, how you speak to people.
I don't think it's a big hard ask. And I think we all network all the time, whether it's I need a doctor. And by the way, Bonnie, I do need a new dentist. So if you know somebody, I'm kidding. No, but I could use a new dentist. You want to sell a used car, you want to hire a pet sitter, you reach out and you ask people. So I think one of the reasons that people find this hard to do for their business is because they don't know what they're trying to accomplish with it. So what I'm going to challenge you to do, and I dropped it in the chat before, but let me open it up and drop it in again, is this is the worksheet, but you need to think about why is it that you want to network? What are some of the reasons that you might want to network? Anyone? I'm hearing silence. Zevi, why do you want to network?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
Um,
I was saying is, excuse me. No,
Sure.
I was saying you do it to, to get goals accomplished and finding resources that can help you get those goals accomplished.
Bonnie, what about you?
Right now it's about finding new leads, but as I've been starting to network more, it's about finding new vendors or new contacts for different things. Like I switched from Vistaprint to a local printing company, and I can go pick it up as opposed to having to wait 2 weeks to get it in the mail.
So I think people find networking hard because they don't have a strong, clear message, which Christy was a brilliant illustration of. She wasn't a plant. It's a hard thing to describe. And they don't know what they want from the interaction. So what I'm going to suggest in today's talk is that if you can get really clear on both of those things, what your message is and what you want from the interaction, it's so much easier to go out. So if you can take your little worksheet and say, what is it that I want to accomplish? And you all have different reasons. Christy, tell me when you're out there networking, whether you're going to a Chamber of Commerce event or you're here meeting these people. Are you looking for individual clients? Are you looking for doctors for referrals? Are you looking for women's health groups? What are you looking for? What are you trying to accomplish with your networking?
So I would say at this point, I am trying to make connections with other organizations that support women's health. Yeah, referrals is always like I other holistic, like-minded people that may know someone who do you know that I need to know. And of course, at the end of the day, yes, I'm always looking for clients. I always want more clients.
Anthony, when you first came on, you started talking about all the things that are involved in creating data centers. So for you, is it just trying to connect with those other people who are in one of those service areas that helps to build and maintain a data center?
No, I think it's really about, and it's almost like, in relation, parallel to making new friends, right? So you want to build that, friendship because people got to trust and be able to be comfortable with you. So it's really about, hey, the introduction. It's about, can I be a friend with this person? And then you reaching out to, okay, what are the resources that we could do together? So it's, of course, at the end result, you're trying to, get something that's going to help get your goals accomplished. But in the same token, you want to build a comfortable, friendly relationship so they can say, okay, Tony, yeah, come sit at my table now. Let's talk about your next move.
Oh, well, you went right to my punchline here. It isn't about selling right away. And that's one of the key things that you need to remember is that back to the Groundhog Day idea, that guy Ned who wanted to sell everyone insurance. He wanted to close an insurance sale on the first contact. What you need to do is build relationships with people, but you can make a lot of your goals out of networking, finding distribution channels. So Bonnie's looking for new places to carry her stuff. You can connect with suppliers like your printer. You can create referral partners. So who else is in a similar kind of business who can refer people to me? You can establish different professional connections. Growing your email marketing permission list is huge. I want to know when Bonnie just puts carrot cake muffins in the cooler so I can drive down to East Chatham and pick them up. Once she has my permission to put me on the list, then she builds me as a customer. And then, of course, increasing actual leads, as well as potentially making friends. I've made a lot of friends through networking. Anybody else have a different goal that they're looking at? All right, moving on. Go ahead.
Oh no, I just saw the carrot cake cupcake comment. I have found that it's a much better strategy to not try to sell, but that also means that it kind of makes initially I was like, okay, I just need to get in front of people and then I'll win new business, like expand my network. And then I realized like, oh, this is one of many really long kind of form of sales where you build relationships and people see you and you follow up like, okay, but I guess, yeah.
No, I wish it was quicker. It's not.
Yeah.
So one of the things I really encourage you to think about, especially because it's not an immediate sale, it's really about finding people who are talking to some of the same people you want to talk to. So home stager needs to meet realtors, but they could also meet property photographers. They could meet mortgage brokers, other people who are talking to people who are buying or selling houses. A divorce mediator wants to meet therapists because if you're in therapy because you're in a troubled marriage and you're getting divorced, a divorce mediator is just what you need next. I actually have a friend who is a divorce mediator who got 90% of her business from a professional group of referral people that included a financial planner, a therapist, and an attorney. It was amazing. A dog trainer wants to meet vets. If people are bringing their puppy in and it's not well controlled, how great to be able to hand them a business card and say, here's a local dog trainer I know and like. An email marketer wants to meet startup owners. An interior designer might want to meet office managers or property managers because that's what they want to decorate. So when you think about who are the people who are already talking to some of the people that you know and can be your clients, it gets really specific about who you want to meet. So if you can stay focused on who you want to meet, and then your goal is in your networking is to find those people. But first, you have to start with a great message that you don't need to look up or write down, and you have to feel great about it and great about yourself. And here's what I'll say. If you have, even if you've paid $25 to go to a Chamber of Commerce networking event and you feel like crap that day, bad time in your cycle, your mother is sick, I don't care what the problem is. If you're not your best you shouldn't be trying to network because you'll feel like you're just not your best self. And you have to feel good about yourself and your work before you put yourself out there. So I'd rather see you save the money, call the Chamber of Commerce, tell them you're sick, and get a credit for the next event. Because until you have the great message and you feel great about yourself, it's a waste of time. And you know, Bonnie, how you talked about lurking on the edges of an event? If you walk into one of those events and you're already a tendency to lurk, it's only going to be worse if you're having a bad day. Anybody else ever have this happen to them? Yeah. Christy sees it all the time. She's the cycle lady. I don't know if it still applies to menopause people, but so
I have two small kids, and so very frequently, if the day started really early, I feel like there's no way I'm going to be at all, I don't know, productive at this 5 p.m. event. Been up for 12 hours or something.
agreed.
Yeah.
All right. So I have taught before an elevator pitch workshop, and I bring this idea of a purple magic marker. If you were, and it actually transfers from another class I teach about pitching a job and getting your career started. If someone's doing a phone interview with you for a job, and they have a list of 5 or 7 people that they're phone interviewing, they have a purple magic marker in their hand. What do you want them to write about you and remember about you? Because they're going to remember just enough to differentiate you from the other 7 people. So Zevi, when somebody is looking at your designs or thinking about working with you as a designer, what makes you different than the other 6 people I talked to?
I think I have a decent sense of that. If you're looking for a modern kind of brand that has a strong idea behind it and really stands out from your competitors, I think my portfolio does a pretty good job of that. So
it's a modern aesthetic that is really strong.
Modern, clean, sophisticated. Yeah.
So, all right, the rest of you are now in Zevi's focus group. Does that make you want to ask more? Because the idea of your introduction in a networking event is to have them say, "Tell me more." Does that make you want to know more?
I'm just gonna say I'm going off his energy. So for me, it'd just be like, to be transparent. I think for me, for anybody, first you got to show the energy of being excited. Because people are gonna feed off of that, right? So for me, if it was that question to me, I'd say my passion. It has to be, the focus. I'm confident in what I'm doing, but also I can do it with a smile, right? I can joke. I can keep the balance of being serious, but also let them know, that we're gonna work, but we're gonna play, But it lets them know that you don't have to be so conscious and conscious about this that it makes you nervous. That a person should be able to feel comfortable with saying, "Okay, I like how you're saying it. I feel comfortable about speaking with you."
So I think your point is the way Zevi delivers it by
Correct.
talking about that modern aesthetic.
Correct.
The other thing I think people are going to want to hear is that it delivers. Like the organizations, the companies I've done rebrands for have had great results, right? Isn't that what you're looking for ultimately from your design?
Yes. So usually I would tailor what I'm saying to the person I'm talking to. I'm usually not going to talk about what I do before I get a sense of what they do. And delivers, yes, but in the specific context of their business. So if it's a startup, I'll be like, we have worked with startups to raise rounds of funding from investors by presenting a coherent and confident brand that speaks to what you're building and speaks to what you're doing. If it's a long time business, we can say we'll retain your brand equity while helping you scale and communicate, new offerings. And we've done this with this and this people. So there isn't really a uniform point of transformation across the board. Maybe they're a startup, in which case they have a different needs than a scale up.
And I'm not implying that you would always say the same thing.
Right.
So need to understand what your unique value proposition is, right?
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
So Christy, what do you say when you meet somebody at an event? And I don't know what they are. They're a real estate broker. They're in anyone, but let's assume it's a woman because that's a little easier.
Okay.
So what do you say?
Well, I tell them that I teach psycholiteracy and that I help women balance their hormones and mitigate symptoms of PMS and perimenopause, which usually I don't have to say much else. They have a million questions and then the conversation just goes.
That's great. If it piques a woman's interest. And the other thing you could also add is I'm always looking to connect to other women health professionals or professionals dealing with women's health, right? A ... because that's what you're looking to get out of it.
Mm-hmm. Sure, yes.
So Anthony, how do you introduce yourself at an event where maybe you can't exactly tailor it and everyone might not be in the IT business? You're muted.
Oh, hi. Yeah. I'd probably say just basic upfront, formal introduction. How you doing? My name is such and such, and your name is blah, blah, blah. And then going from there. So, how do you like the atmosphere? First talk about where we are. How do you like being in the surroundings that you are? What do you do? And then kind of just let them talk and let them speak, what they want to speak to. So my whole thing is I don't want to be speaking. I want to hear from them, and just kind of tailor to what they're saying to me and just kind of answer it so that it kind of bounces back and forth. But I don't want to be the one always speaking. For me, it's all about
that's
listening.
like the first rule of negotiation is make them talk first, right?
Right.
Christy, did you want to say something?
Well, I was just going to say, like, you're talking about this purple magic marker thing. Like, that's one of the things that I would love for someone to say that about me, that like, oh, she's an excellent listener and she's passionate about what she does. Like, as a coach, it's important that you can listen.
Here's where I'm going though.
That resonates.
Anthony's talking a lot about the interaction, which is all really important. I'm not saying it isn't, but so many people can't get into a mouthful of words about explaining who they are and what they're doing at this thing and why somebody might want to know more about them. And this purple magic marker, remember, I've talked to 6 people who are IT people. What's the thing I'm going to remember about Anthony is what? What's different about you?
I'd probably say, I'm very passionate about what I do, confident in the, services that I provide. And yeah, I think if anything, it's just going to be, how do we kind of, for me, just building that relationship. You're going to remember me because I'm not looking, I would say in the beginning, I'm not looking for any services. I'm just looking to say, how do we connect? Can we have a conversation tomorrow over coffee or tea or something? So
when we'll talk about sort of the technique. Absolutely. I don't want to stop you from thinking about that. All I'm trying to do right now is make sure I understand what it is you do enough to be able to say, tell me more about it, Anthony. And so far, I don't get it. It's something with data centers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so then, yeah, my whole thing would be, very excited about being a consultant for being a implementation for data center infrastructure, and then looking to partner with other companies that are trying to build data centers
There
in
we
my
go.
area.
I knew we could get there. So the thing that I want you to be able to do is make sure that the way you appear digitally reinforces that message that you just shared with me, whatever it was, psycholiteracy, delicious baked goods, clean design that meets your business needs, whatever they are, however you're going to put it, and make sure that everything is consistently
Mm.
delivering that message. So, have you ever gone to an event and someone had a business card with their phone number crossed out or a different Instagram handle written on it? This is basic stuff. Use Vistaprint, use your local printer, but make sure your cards, your brochures, everything's consistent with the up-to-date message that you're delivering, that your website is up to date. And I'm terrible at this. My Entrepreneurs Forever presence is great, but if you go look at Deborah Gallant Business Coach, oh my God, I haven't changed it in 10 years. There's a video when my hair wasn't even gray. Horrible. I have not kept it up to date, but I'm not really looking for coaching business either. But I did that for a long time. Your social media needs to be consistent. Your email marketing needs to be consistent. And your LinkedIn profile has to be good. People really use it. Some people are using it instead of a website now, which I'm not sure I agree with that, but they do. And certainly, if you're ever applying for a job, that's like putting your LinkedIn profile on there is pretty much required. You should be using a professional email address. Yes, Juan, go ahead.
Hey, I'm sorry for being late. When I meet people, I tell them that my name is Juan. I'm the one and only, and I'm building a farm over a grocery store in Hazelwood, Pennsylvania.
I bet nobody forgets that, Juan.
They don't.
I love it. Here's the other thing. All of you right now, let me think. Christy has her full name. None of you have your business name, even on your Zoom box. Do you know how easy that is? You could even put your URL in your. Is this an opportunity for you to be meeting people? Yes, it is. Could you make it easier for them to find you? Yes, you could. So that's what I'm going to encourage you to do, is to think, how do you make it as easy as possible for people to find you and consistently find you? I will admit that I have actually gotten business from having a really good email signature file. If your email signature has a call to action, has your URL, it was back when my daughter was in school. She's old now, she's 28, but it was a mom in the parents group who goes, "Oh, you do that?" Because she saw it in my signature file on my email. Okay, I'm going to encourage you all right now, go and change your name in your Zoom box to your name, your URL, the name of your business, something that sells you better than just Zevi_designer. Come on, Zevi, I want to see it. Get clever. Easy to do. Juan, I love what you just said, so I want to see it in your thing. I don't know who's on the iPhone, somebody who came late. It's harder to change on an iPhone. I will admit that. All right, Baker Addiction. You're not just a wholesale bakery, but that works. You can also do this, which I don't really like, but I'm going to do it anyway. Hold on. You know how you can, just my background. I don't really like that because it makes my hair get all cut off, but you can do it. All right, I love it. Anthony, you're gonna change your name?
Sure.
ArcJet.design. Oh, you're so cool. You don't even have a .com. You have a .design. See that, like, do you understand that that's branding right there?
That is what he does, right?
Exactly. And it's a great name too. All right, I'm not going to belabor this, but here's the point. Until you figure this stuff out, you can't really go out and network. It's by focusing on what you want and making sure you have a great message, then you can go out and achieve some things. So let's work on that. So if you're out there in person, dress neatly, have your business card with you every day. I will tell you there are people with my business cards who have no idea how they got them, whether it was in a restaurant or the sidelines of a soccer tournament or whatever. People will collect your business cards and they'll do follow-up, and it doesn't have to be in a work environment. Send thank you notes, emails, and texts that are grammatically correct and properly punctuated. This is basic stuff, but it's so easy to get wrong. And when you're connecting with someone, try to have a real substantive conversation individually with each contact. Now, in person is ideal still, except that maybe Anthony really wants to talk to Juan, and Anthony's in Concord, Massachusetts, and Juan is in someplace in Pennsylvania. I already forgot the name of the town. I'm sorry.
Pittsburgh.
It's in the Pittsburgh area. So maybe it's a phone date or a Zoom or a Google Meet date, but you need to have a follow-up conversation because the connections you make when you first start is just the beginning. And make sure the connections are mutual and be a good listener. See how you can help the other person. So it's not just a one-way street. Now, I love LinkedIn, and you should absolutely start with LinkedIn. Juan, I like your background. That's working for me. Now, almost all of us are grown-ups, so we have work experience that we can connect with current professional contacts, people you worked with previously, your friends, your family. Yes, you can connect with your sister, your brother, your aunt, or your cousin. Those are all connections who might know other people who can open doors for you. I don't know which doors, but you won't know either if you don't connect with them. So everyone you should connect with on LinkedIn. I'm going to tell you a LinkedIn cautionary story though. This has got to be 15 years ago, but people are still doing this. It was a Northwest Mutual life insurance agent, and he came with a printed out list of my 200, 400 contacts on LinkedIn that he had downloaded and printed. And he handed it to me and he goes, "Who here has gone through a life change and will need to talk to a life insurance agent?" As if on the first coffee meeting, I was gonna let him get a professional introduction to everyone I knew who'd recently gotten married or had a baby or lost a parent or something. Absolutely over the top. He actually was so annoying that I found and called his supervisor and reported to him for really bad networking. But that was like not networking at all. It was that bad sales juju guy. It's like, oh my God, that's not what this is about. Now, if he'd gotten to know me, I clearly knew 10 or 15 people who I could have introduced him to, and I happen to be a believer in life insurance. However, going about it that way was not going to work for me. But it's amazing how you can see who people know and open doors for yourself, but that's absolutely not the way you go about digging in. Juan?
Yeah, hi, again, by the way, I am looking for somebody who is looking to be involved with data centers.
Yeah. Well, that's crazy. And before you guys leave, you should definitely cross paths. That is absolutely insane. And I have a guy who just opened a farm store here in the Berkshires who I want to introduce you to. So we'll talk about that too. But
See,
LinkedIn,
that's how it works.
say it again.
I said, see, that's how it works.
That's all how it works. All right. Joining online communities can be absolutely amazing, and you get known for your expertise and you engage as a thought leader. But again, it's not going to happen right there. It's the beauty is in the follow-up. So one of my clients, and the few clients I have kept as a business coach, runs a business called campgroundviews.com. And campgroundviews.com takes 360 videos of campgrounds, charges the campground for it, and then when you're going to book a campground, you can see the spot you're going to. So if you drive in at Friday night at 9 o'clock and it's too dark to see which slot you're in, and then you wake up in the morning and you realize you're right next to the bathroom, this doesn't happen because you've booked it by seeing where it is on the map and all the rest. It's a fantastic little business, and it's doing really well. His target market is both the campers, but it's also the campground owners. He created a Facebook group, an online community for campground owners. No one else had ever done this. And most of the chat is not about getting a video or doing marketing for your campground. It's about things like, who's your resource for Wi-Fi networks? Or do you offer this? Do you offer in late checkout? Or what booking agent are you using? But by becoming the main source of conversation among campground owners, he's this trusted advisor in the world of campground owner marketing. And it happened by just starting a Facebook group. Now, I don't know if he could do that today because it's been in existence for like 10 years. But there are groups out there on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on TikTok, on all of them that are people who, remember we just talked about who you wanted to talk to. So does Zevi want to talk to startup businesses? Does he want to talk to more established businesses? Does he want to talk to people who are rebranding? There are groups of people online talking about all of this stuff. Find one of them, get involved, find a couple of them, get involved, post things on LinkedIn as a thought leader, and then do the follow-up. Wow, looks like we have a lot in common. Would you like to chat? And Anthony and Juan will be chatting later because they were this is an online community, right? Small business owners who want to learn about networking. You need to find those groups and hang out there. I'm certain there's women's health ones. There's the cycle one. There's a whole conversation going on about not using the online cycle trackers because they're afraid that Big Brother is watching you. It's like, I don't know, get involved in that conversation and talk about cycles, Christy. It doesn't have to be exactly on topic, but if people who are interested in that subject are hanging out there, that's a great place for you to be. So where are the right people hanging out? Go to events where the people you want to meet are hanging out. Call it fish where the fish are. So one of my members of my Entrepreneurs Forever group in Haverhill, Massachusetts, has a web design company, and he goes to a show, Anthony, you might have heard of it, called the Big E in Springfield,
Yep.
Massachusetts. The Big
Yes.
E is like,
Yes, huge.
it's like, I don't know, like a state fair level thing.
Yeah.
And what happens is all of the little teeny vendors who are there, who have maybe bootstrapped their business and are trying to find out, will people buy their salsa, or are they interested in their flower arranging? Many of them don't have websites or SEO strategies yet. And he has found an enormous amount of potential because he has programs and systems that work for those little guys. And he's done really well by walking around the Big E, not as an exhibitor. He has his brochure, he has his card, he offers a free consultation, and he meets people all over walking around the Big E. So, you know, Bonnie wants to meet people who are in the local food business. Go to the Hudson Farmers Market. You don't even have to sell, but you can see who else is out there and what they're doing. When I worked in California and I taught this very webinar, the big company there that everyone wanted to get in was Amgen in Thousand Oaks, California. And what would happen at Amgen is all of the employees would go to the same couple of sandwich shops for lunch. And I told someone who really wanted to get their foot in the door at Amgen to go sit there with their computer at those sandwich shops between 11 and 2 and read their name badges and go, oh, you work in HR at Amgen? Can I have a minute of your time? Or can I follow up with you? If you know who you want to talk to, you can figure out where they are and go talk to them. Christy wants to talk to the people at a women's health practice. I don't know. Sit out front of their office and give them a donut in the morning. That's how the pharma reps work, right? They bring them food. I don't care what you do. Just find out how to where your fish are and go to them. Join organizations and volunteer. Community support is a great way to connect with like-minded people. Bonnie, it might be time for you to be an E4All mentor because you were in E4All, because that's a great way to find out who else is there. The mentors all get together and they chat. So finding places where your people are and then hanging out. So whether it's for Juan, maybe something in the food insecurity world, he's going to be plugged into the other people who care about what you care about. And you just never know where those connections will happen. Go to events and conferences that are maybe outside your area of expertise and cross some boundaries. It doesn't have to be exactly your world. And if you think about who you want to meet and seek out your own opportunities, and you can research people you want to meet on LinkedIn and see who else knows them and see if you can open any doors. Now, I'm going to go back to some of the stuff that Anthony was saying. Remember that you're trying to make a real connection when you meet somebody. You're not doing this just to collect business cards, right? You can get business cards left and right. You can walk around and pick them up. What you're trying to do is identify people who are interested in what you have to say and maybe can either be a client, open doors, who want to know more about it and want to dig deeper with you. And then you hopefully will have that follow-on conversation and you'll uncover the opportunities. This is one of my big bugaboos. And I know some of you say you're shy, but if someone offers you a contact, take it. No matter how off base it might seem, you have to follow up to see where it might lead, because you just don't know what that person saw and why they thought that they wanted to share it. You know, Juan, I'm going to introduce you to my guy, Jim of Red Shirt Farm. Jim is completely in over his head, just opened the farm store. I have no idea what insights you can share with him, but I bet you'll find one. And it'd be worth a phone conversation if you can get him.
It's funny you bring that up, because what is her name? Is it Christy on this call?
Yeah.
Yeah. Unmute yourself, Christy. I want to tell you something. The newest thing right now in medical care is called food is medicine.
Yeah, that's been my life for the last 20 years.
Yeah, and I'm going to attend the conference, the virtual conference in Boston in October on that. This is the second year that the federal government has done it. They devote the NIH and the Ag Department have gotten together to do this. So that's our theme. And I apologize for being late, but I just walked into $1 million deal, and we are going to onshore a business from Australia. So I had to hire an attorney. I need to get financing. I need to get construction going, the whole 9 yards, and jobs and the whole thing. So if any of you guys are interested in that in any way, shape, or form.
You know what, Juan? We're gonna finish the program, and then we're gonna have a whole 20 minutes, half an hour of free talk. So you can tell us more and do some show and tell then. I would love to hear more about that.
That's cool.
That's great. So here's the thing. Non-work related connections can also be really valuable. You might not think you don't know anybody, but you may already know lots of people that can help. But if you don't go out there and try, it won't work. The other thing I encourage you to do is to think about who you know in your life who is an influencer, not just a social media influencer, but someone who seems to know everyone in town. So if you think about this, Bonnie, you probably know me well enough to know this. I think I'm one of those people who they walk in someplace, a restaurant for lunch or into a farmer's market, and they have to say hello to everybody because they know everyone. Those are the people whose networks you want to plug into because they are already really well connected. It doesn't have to just be in a local place. It can be in your industry, but they are really plugged in, and you would love to get to build into their plug into their network. So when you initially meet someone, you're only at the starting line. Start to build the relationship before you start pushing. On your worksheet, there's some goals for you to set yourself for expanding your network. Where are people gathering? Is there a specific individual who has the power to help you? Just like I talked about that HR person at Amgen. How many networking events can you go to? Maybe not in a week, but in a month. And usually you don't have to join things. I'll also just say here, I'm not a big fan of BNI. Are any of you BNI members? So BNI
Yes.
is Business Networking International, and it is very transactional. So you're expected to show up every week with referrals for the other people and vice versa. It can work for some people. I think that I want to give a referral for somebody whose work I know something about and really believe in and trust, not just that they paid the fee to come to this breakfast every week. But visiting BNI groups can be a great way to expand your network as well. Do what you say you'll do. If someone says, call me, call them. If someone says, send me an email, send the email. If someone asks for your resume, you can send it, but you lose credibility when you don't do the follow-up. Stay in touch and determine what's the best way to do it. Social connections, an occasional email, newsletter, only if you have permission, right? Oh, Deborah, would you like to be on my newsletter list? A phone call if you're in the same town, a cup of coffee. Juan, next time I'm in Pittsburgh, I want a tour. Invite them to a group you attend, something that gives them a way to just stay in touch with you so you don't get in that place that we talked about, which is, oh, I haven't talked to them in 3 years. You want to stay in touch with them. And you mostly need to do this work yourself. I'm going to turn the presentation off in a minute, and we'll talk about maybe brainstorming some ways that AI could help. But remember, you have to ask for what you want. And if you tell enough people, I truly believe that you will get it. And remember that some of the contacts and some of the networking might happen outside of the places that you think that it will happen. It could happen at a family reunion. It could happen at, this is a true story. Michael Bloomberg, who runs Bloomberg LLC, when he took his time off to be the mayor of New York City, the guy he appointed to run his business, he met at the sidelines of his daughter's horse show. They just started talking as they were hanging over a fence. If you can tell your story to someone hanging over a fence and watching a horse show, you can open doors that you didn't even know existed and connect to people that you didn't know that you knew or could know. But you have to tell people who you are in a really easy to understand way, and then hope that they want to continue the conversation and take it from there. So I'm going to stop sharing for a minute and just say, has anyone used AI or thought about how they could use AI to help them in their networking?
I just started.
And
Well, what I decided to do was to use AI to help me to write little articles that I can place in LinkedIn.
it's a great use of it. I did an experiment this afternoon to say, how should Deborah Gallant, business coach, look to AI to help her with networking? And it analyzed my completely out of date website, but it said at that point, you've clearly spread the word about what you do by running workshops. Why don't you run workshops at these kinds of organizations? And gave me very specific suggestions of organizations that might want to host me doing talks, which I thought was smarter than I thought it would be. Now, it doesn't actually take the place of my reaching out and talking to either the booking person or the executive director or whatever, but it sort of lit a fire under me to think about how I could get out there and do that. Anybody else thought about ways they wanted to use AI in it?
Your question is specifically about networking, right?
For networking.
I've used AI a couple of times with making articles or like how to describe a cookie. when I can't find the words myself, I ask AI. I'm like, ChatGPT, how do I describe orange ricotta chocolate chip cookies? And usually it's pretty good. There's some junk in there that I'll like get rid of, but the nuts and bolts are there. But it was pretty good, and I used it a couple of times. But and then plugged that into my social media marketing pieces. I've never done it with LinkedIn, but I probably should, because sometimes I get clunky with what I write on LinkedIn.
Well, the other thing that it's really good at is if you spend the time writing one thing and you say, take this and create post now or make it into a TikTok video or whatever, it will repurpose it. So I've done that for repurposing content sometimes.
Deborah, this is Cindy. I'm probably the one on the iPhone.
Hi, Cindy.
How are you?
Good.
I've used AI to create pitches for different groups that I may be networking in, or like how to speak to financial advisors about a certain topic or whatever that group is. And it will give you different pitches. It'll take it to a 30-second commercial. So those are some of the ways that I've used it.
I will say that when I first put the prompt in AI, it hallucinated, and there is another person with my name, and they started promoting her and her HR resources business in Portland, Maine. So you do need to be really careful. And the other thing I'll say is there are multiple AI agents, and you should play with the different ones to see which one works best for you. There's Gemini, there's ChatGPT, I use Claude a lot, but play with them to see which ones work for you. And remember that in some cases, your content is helping AI learn, and you have to decide whether that's okay with you or not. James, we moved this one to 3 o'clock. You must have missed the memo that said we were doing it at 3 o'clock this month. So I'm sorry you're late, but we did record it. James is actually our presenter for next month. Do you want to give us a quick update on what they can expect if they come in October, not September, but October, for our cybersecurity deep dive? I'm putting him on the spot, and you're muted.
Yeah, we're trying to bring forth, just some best practices in an architecture you would need for a small to medium business for cybersecurity protection. So, one of the biggest recommendations we have is you step into your office and everything's locked up with a ransomware. What do you do next? So the first thing we definitely recommend doing is planning for something.
So come plan with us in October. I'm going to actually stop the recording